Hi, Fashion Dolls. Happy Motivation Monday, September 9th, and welcome to an all new episode of Style by Stevie. Our very special guest today is a bereavement coach. She is a holistic healer and practitioner, and she is here today to give us ways that we can stay in tune and insane with this crazy election cycle that we're having. I know you guys are wondering where some of my posts went. I'm going to tell you why. I had to erase some of my posts that were focused solely on the other candidate who's running for presidency, who was president for 4 years, because now he is threatening to lock up adversaries, journalists, or anybody who critiques or opposes him. This November is very critical and important. And I want to start the show off by telling you guys to get registered to vote if you are not. Our democracy and our freedom depends on it. And with me having this platform, it is now a target on my back. So he is threatening to lock up journalists, lock up any of his other political opponents who oppose him. That is a tactic that dictators use. So by all means, we are counting on the swing states. They are running neck and neck in the polls. I need you guys, if you are not registered to vote, get registered to vote, because this election, we cannot sit this one out. It is too much on the line and has now become dangerous to the point where we are all fearing for our safety. And I just was having a few conversations with some of my colleagues who also critique and that are very critical, that are also writers as well too. So I've had to take down a few of my posts on Donald Trump. Now it's just like, you can't say his name, you can't do anything. Our lives are in danger. And besides, I'm in a red state. I'm in South Carolina. So the pendulum is probably going to work in his favor. And I predict that he is probably going to win. So now we are in the fight of our lives. We cannot give up now. The momentum is too close. Tomorrow is the debate. If you are not registered to vote, please go to vote.org. If you are already registered, check your registration to see if you're good and set to go this November 5th. Again, this is an election we cannot afford to sit out. This could be our last election. So I need you guys to be critical, and think real. So without further ado, Fashion Dolls, let's welcome our very special guest. She is a bereavement coach and she is a holistic healer. Without further ado, Fashion Dolls, Carolyn Jones. Wait a minute. What? Give me one sec. I'm trying to add my guest, but I can't see her. It should pop up on the screen. So give me a sec, Fashion Dolls, while I'm trying to adjust my tripod right here. Give me a sec. Uh-oh, saying she's unable to join. Okay, let me try this way. Let's see if it'll work. There we are.
Yes,
Hello.
without a few technical difficulties.
And we're here. We have you here, beautiful. Welcome to the dollhouse. How are you doing?
Fine, yourself?
I am doing great. It's a pleasure to have you here. So before we kick off this conversation, how has 2024 been for you so far?
Well, it's been very exciting. Um, the Herbals Without Borders Healing Project Mobile Clinic has found a home with Flatbush Gardens Community Center, so I'm ecstatic about that. And I've been working to serve the community one-on-one and in groups. So, that's been my focus. And we actually have an upcoming acupuncture clinic with Brooklyn Museum. So I'm over the moon right now. Yes.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and we need it more than ever. So you specialize in holistic healing and bereavement. You're a bereavement coach. So 2024 has been a year where it's been ups and downs, an emotional roller coaster for some. So I'd like to start off in the beginning of your journey. At what did you discover that this is something that you want to do, which is help people grieve and just through their rough times receive healing?
Thank you for asking. And also thank you for having me. Um, the beginning of my journey began with my own healing. I had a lot to grieve, a lot of the issues, the political issues that are on the table. Um,
Yes,
I've lived through, and I see the importance of mental health being at the
yes.
forefront. Um, your physical health is affected by your mental health. And so the clinic focuses on how people can address their anxieties and depression through natural means. Um, when I learned, I have years of studying behind me, and when I learned that there was a way besides bibliotherapy, which is studying books to heal yourself, uh, flower essences and tinctures, and just really realizing that what you eat can affect your mood. Um, then I did it for myself, saw that it worked, and then began to study and expand my knowledge into the community.
Absolutely. And we need it more than ever. And you said clinic. I'm so glad because there's so many doctors and workers out here that are helping people. And you touched on something, which is something that I always touch on a lot, which is mental health. With this upcoming election cycle that is coming on, like I said, as I was introducing you in the beginning of my show, I literally had to take down posts because now, me being the host of this platform, in a way, I'm considered as a journalist or a news source. And it now puts, with me giving people the truth, we're seeing it in other states where dictators will literally cause harm and danger to
Mhm,
us for giving people the truth. And then to the people who already have like a lack of distrust within the system. So
mhm,
what are some things that you can give people during this election cycle that can calm their minds just a little bit?
mhm,
Because I know someone told me yesterday, looking at the polls, you'll drive yourself crazy, girl. Stop looking at the polls. And I kept looking at it like it was a football game or something. And I'm not even really into football, but I just kept looking like she's got to win. She's got to win. Because this is the state of our world right now. People are terrified. And
mhm.
this man has put so much grave, ill, and poison out here. So, what can you say to the people who are sort of reluctant or hesitant about the outcome of this election or just terrified or in a state of uncertainty right now?
I think that it's very important for people to study their history. When you study your history and you realize that history can repeat itself, you'll more than likely, hopefully, realize that this is a history that is trying to repeat itself. And
Yes.
we have to be the antidote for that through voting and making others aware. Um, Look, worrying never helped anybody, even for your bills. It doesn't help. Just like Michelle Obama said, do something. You know, connect yourself if you want to the campaign, but more than that, educate yourself. Don't wallow in the he said she said, and don't overload with the news because it will drive you batty. You know, you'll miss sleep. You'll mess up your sleep habits. You'll mess up your eating habits. Yeah. So you can't internalize it because really, if you think about it, what's going to be is going to be. Either way, we have to be educated, and we have many ways to educate ourselves. We have the libraries, which they're trying to shut down, the banned books. Read them and see why they don't want you to know. And really, I was just thinking today, we've always been in a state of banned books. It's just public right now because the books that I've read to educate myself about my culture and others were not in the curriculum. So if you don't go out, it's always been a situation where we had to self-educate. We can't depend on the public school system. And now the public school system is in shambles. So, uh, yeah, the responsibility will always be in our own laps. So if one chooses to not vote, there's no sense in complaining when everything goes downhill. I have a coworker that used to say, "Caca flows downhill," and you don't want to be at the bottom of that hill, you know. So that's what I say now from a holistic point of view. And in dealing with these anxieties, there are a few herbs and flower essences that one can use. And I don't know if you want to go into that at this part of the conversation, but we can certainly address that when you're ready.
Absolutely. I want to go back to something you just said though, which is we have to educate ourselves. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
you go back to slavery, they didn't want us reading, they didn't want us writing, they didn't want us do any of these things. And now, if you look in Florida, there was a video posted where they have at least, I think it was 100,000 books that were thrown in the dumpsters out of libraries. So they're closing off. They don't want us to learn this knowledge on our history. And that's why it is important that we take back and gain more knowledge while we can, more than ever. It is very, very key and important. Because, like you said, you must have been reading my mind because I have been really sleeping. Well, I wake up looking, I don't wake up looking like this every day. It takes a village. You understand, girl.
I do.
So, for women, we it takes a lot for us to wake up and look this good. But I literally have been losing sleep. I haven't been sleeping like I really should. I wake up first thing in the morning and I check the polls. It's become like a routine for me. Like, okay, we got to do the work. I'm doing my part, encouraging people to get out here and vote. Now it's time for me to turn it up a notch. So I'm going to look for ways that I can volunteer within my community because I'm in a red state. And in order for us to flip that Senate blue, we have to put our feet on the ground. Other than it's one thing to use word of mouth, which I have been talking to my family about it. People are literally right now as we speak discussing on leaving the country if he becomes elected.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're talking dictatorship here.
Yeah.
What you read, they're already putting that into place. What you they don't want you to know on black history, on LGBT history. They're trying to overturn it. And as Carolyn stated, they're willing to take us back to a time where our voices are repressed. And that's why I had to go ahead and just go ahead and delete all my stuff that was pertaining to Trump. I'm giving you guys the truth on what is coming out here. But now it's just like us being the journalists, our lives are in danger. You can either be doxxed or lose your life or either be sentenced in prison for giving people the truth if it doesn't appear to what the person who's running for president, it doesn't make them look good. So I don't know how the other outlets are doing it by putting the information out here and giving people the truth, but we have to stick together, all of us, no matter what side or what party you choose to represent. And it goes back to what Carolyn just said, which is we have to educate ourselves. So that's why I'm, trying to make sure that I'm good and I'm safe down here. Because again, I'm in a red state,
Mm-hmm.
and they've already overturned certain things. I have a cousin that's also in a red state in North Carolina, which is one of the battleground states that they are neck to neck in. So anything could happen. We just have to make sure that we're prepared and that we have a plan. So I need everybody while you guys are watching this discussion, at the end of this discussion, this show today, make sure that you create a plan just in case he becomes. It won't be a presidency, it will be a dictatorship we will be under. This is autocracy we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
here.
Now, one thing you mentioned that I would like to interject on, uh, I would like to speak directly to students. When you are
Mm,
given assignments to read, read. When I was growing up, we used to have current events assignments. Now, I don't see where they have that anymore. And when I was teaching on the college level, I was teaching public speaking. I would give reading assignments, and maybe one or two people out of 30 people would read. And I would give that same spiel. Oh, they used to ban us from reading. You used to die for reading and learning how to write. You know, you're throwing away. I would even print out the Slave Act about reading and hand it out, and still with no result. And this is what I mean about personal responsibility. If you do not do the hard work, and it is hard work to live on this planet. If you don't do the hard work to educate yourself and expand your mind, you cannot blame anyone else for the consequences, because there will be some dire consequences. Mhm.
Absolutely. Now you were saying about the holistic way. What are ways that people can stay centered and focused? And I'm glad. I'm like, she must have been reading my mind because I have been losing sleep. I know, like I haven't been. I don't look like it, but I literally have been worrying. Every day I wake up, I turn on the news to see what's going on. He's done something crazy. He said something crazy, and it's dangerous. And it's just like corporate media outlets. Why are you guys not calling this out? People need to know who they're voting for. If you can put out news about her, put out news about him as well too, and how dangerous he is. Call it out. Now's not the time. We have 56 days left. So with election anxiety, whenever that time rolls around for November, when it's time for us to go to those polls, people get election anxiety. And it's just like, okay, what if my candidate doesn't win? What if the worst case scenario happens? And I literally just had this conversation with my mom a few minutes ago on what is going to be the next move. We're going to be okay. But me being in the limelight and being the host of this platform, now on the forefront, all eyes are watching you. Famous, not famous, whoever, my life is in danger. So I still have to be careful.
Mhm. Well, uh, I would say this. In preparing oneself for any kind of anxiety, not just election anxiety, because there are a lot of things that happen in our lives that could throw us off balance. Three of the herbs come to mind that could be used as a tincture or as a tea. That is ashwagandha,
Mm.
mugwort, and blue vervain. Those three, and I mean, just for general sleep health, it's good to take it. Not even with the intention of, I got to relax myself from the election or any other thing. Uh, and we have to remember the spiritual principle that says what we put our attention on grows. So why not put our attention on the winning team? You know, choose the winning team in our mind and focus on that. That way we have something to work towards. And I love that the choice of joy, because I know
Oh,
joy has, I just started something. I'm going to actually create a, a curriculum about joy being a medicine, as I have about in medicine. You know, joy can be a medicine. You can find that place in yourself through meditation, through just having a quiet time with yourself, getting to know you
yeah.
and being firm within yourself and your happiness, and uh, feeding what makes you happy and not letting anyone disturb that joy. And that includes Trump. If he begins to disturb your joy, cut it off. When his voice comes on, I turn off the television, but
I
I
fast forward,
don't tolerate I
girl.
don't tolerate his voice anymore, you know, because it irritates me. So and the lies, they irritate me. So then I don't put myself in a position where I self-inflict, and I go on and just believe me, he's not thinking about us at all. He's thinking about his agenda. We have to think about our health, because if we don't stay healthy, we won't be here to vote. Jimmy Carter's on his winter years talking about, I want to live to do this. And that's the
Hello.
same fervor that, we need to approach this with. If our forefathers and foremothers could do it, we can too. There's no reason to be afraid if we do the right thing.
Thank you,
They died for
Carolyn. You offered me
us.
some hope.
They died for
Yes,
this day. They died for this day.
absolutely. And you got to think about it. What's his name? He said the good kind of trouble. John
Yeah.
Lewis. It was John Lewis. We have to be the good kind of trouble. And I think that Kamala Harris has brought back, like you said, the joy. He brings darkness and despair and fear, which is what we're feeling right now. And with talking to you, I feel like a weight has been lifted off of me because the whole day I was running crazy. I was telling my mom about it. My mom's like, "You can't worry about that. It
Mm-mm.
what's in his control is in his control. You keep giving people the truth because people deserve to hear the truth.
Yeah.
We are now in a day and age of disinformation and misinformation, but he tries to cover that up and scare people with fear. And as the host of these platforms, we can't let up. So I'm going to keep doing what I can, but I'm also going to make sure that myself and my family are good and safe as well too, and that we have everything that we need.
Right.
So it's important, like you said. I try to divert, and music has also been a therapeutic outlet for me as well too. Like putting on music. I love Sade.
Mm-hmm.
I love Anita Baker. I love Phyllis Hyman. I love Janet Jackson. Those have been the outlets for me
Mm-hmm.
turning towards music. But it's so hard. Your phone is constantly going off. And sometimes, what advice would you give to people who stay constantly glued to the phone? Because even that can give you trouble as well too, because we're now in a day and age where we're consumed, like you just said, with everything that is going on. We stay glued to the phones or glued to our tablets or our laptops. And it's just like I said, he stays out and he always puts out something crazy. Whenever the news outlets report it, I skip right past him. I don't listen to it. Now, some of the stuff that he said about the windmill and stuff is crazy. I kind of laughed at it, but I'm just like, this man is serious. He's dangerous. But at the same time, we have to pay attention. But my mom tells me this: see and don't see. She says, child, pay attention and don't pay attention. Focus on something else. That's what she'll tell me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like your mom's advice. The whole thing is to be discerning with your time, and don't let the phone rule you. Sometimes silence it. Give yourself however long. I know you're very busy and people are trying to be in contact with you, but however long you can go without 20 minutes, a half hour. Give yourself breaks during the day to just be about you and what you're doing as far as your health, not doing for you. hmm That's what I would recommend, and
And
that's what I do. I do here. We have ferries, so I ferry hop. People who know me, I invite them to ferry hop with me, cross the water, so you could cast your cares on the water. You
mm, and that's healing. That's what we
know,
need is healing right now.
garden,
It doesn't have to be this way. Yeah.
going to botanic gardens, and those types of places. Uh, the plants have the answer,
Uh,
so we have to put our attention on who's really ruling. Because without plants, we would die, and without water, we would die. So place your attention on what is sustaining you, and make sure that the people around you uh, are uplifting, you know, uh, and not representing tomfoolery.
yes. Now, my mom, you made me think about her again because she told me that she was in there. She was in the kitchen. She was cooking this morning. I asked her to fry me some chicken. I
Mm,
was in the process of getting ready for our interview.
mhm,
And I went out there and I talked to her and I let her know everything that was going on. She said, "Oh, he's trying to start a war." And then she also said this. She said, "Read a chapter in the Bible. Exodus, I think it was Genesis, one of them, and she was talking about the pharaohs and how the pharaoh wouldn't let the people go. and what God did to him if he didn't let those people go. So she said his time is coming. He think he can get away with all the stuff that he's doing out here, all of this stuff, people thinking that they can do all of this stuff to people to hurt people, innocent people. Their time is coming.
Yes.
So that's what she told me. And that kind of stilled me. And even with talking to you and other friends, because people have been messaging me, they have been DMing me, Carol, like,
Mm-hmm.
girl, when I tell the DMs that I've been getting, like Miss Stevie, like, this is what he's doing. They're sending me everything that he's doing, and it's just like I see it, and I'm just like, this is wrong. And it's people who think the same way that he does. So we have to make sure that we protect our peace and our sanctity as well too, because we're all we got. You will run yourself ragged looking at those polls. And someone told me that Sunday. They said, stop looking at those polls. You're gonna drive yourself
To
nuts. And then a
go
colleague
up.
of mine who's coming on the show this month, Nathan Williams, who also worked at BET.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Stop looking at those polls. There's nothing to be terrified about. Some of them not even accurate half of the time. They don't have it right. So we got to do what we got to do on our end. You make sure that you protect your peace." And then someone who was on the other side, who was a Republican, she said this. She said, "Go on and live your life. Stop looking at those polls. Stop engaging in it. Stop focusing on it so much. Focus on something else. Go live your life." But it's kind of hard when you're thinking about the future. So what is some advice that you would give to people who think about the future? Because we always think about our past and holding ourselves accountable and things, but we sit sometimes and we're just worried about, okay, what's going to happen in the future? What's going to be the outcome for me and my family and my loved ones? I want better. So what advice would you give to people holistically who are looking for a better approach for the future?
The results of the future are rooted in the present.
Mm,
Work with our present to design the future. That's it. There's only the present. And what we do now makes all the difference. You know, if we don't do what our due diligence, do what we're supposed to do, uh, and everybody's going to do what they think they're supposed to do. It was years ago that I saw that the Ku Klux Klan actually had a website. And so all of these behaviors are not a surprise to me because they've been preparing all along with the weapons and everything. And January 6th proved that. So now it's just a gathering of the troops. Well, we can't sit around like little lambs. Oh my God, the wolves are coming. We have to find our wolf heart and let it be. First of all, Kamala Harris is so competent that I don't even understand what the argument is. What irritates me most is the fact that there's an argument at all. Because aside from the policies, the work that she's put in to be who she is tells the story. So I don't know. I don't. I worry about the people who don't see it, and just like they say, people don't grow at the same rate spiritually. It's almost like that kind of thing. And then there was Jim Jones,
cult leaders we're talking about here. So
right?
it's very, very real.
So, and he certainly succeeded in killing masses of people. I notice everywhere this man shows himself, someone dies or things go haywire, including the breaking up of families, the breaking up of friendships, and people actually dying. So we have to make a choice. We have to make a choice. We have to choose health. We have to choose abundance, and we have to choose joy, and choose not to worry. Just that's a choice. That's a decision to not worry. It's a self-care decision. So one cannot say I love myself and then set about on the task of a daily worrying uh, activity, because it becomes an activity after a while. You know? Even
Absolutely.
with some of the newscasters that I absolutely love, I turn them off because they keep mentioning his name. I don't want to hear his name because
Like Whoopi
the
Goldberg,
day he
she
won, the day he won, uh, I refused to watch the polls and the election results. But I had my iPad near my bed, and I opened it up that day, and just a reflex action, tears started coming out of my eyes when I saw he won, because it was obvious that there was going to be chaos, but we could never have imagined the type of chaos that it would end up being. And if people were not moved, if they're so stuck in apathy that they were not moved by those people dying. I mean, I worked in a funeral home during COVID. So I saw a lot of things and was affected by a lot of the rules firsthand. Um, and even then, people were citing, conspiracy theories, is this isn't really happening. Oh, it really happened, because we were burying the people it was happening to. And as a matter of fact, one of our own coworkers succumbed, and she was fairly young. So um, it's like I said, it's just a choice. It is really being proactive about learning. We have AI now. If you have any questions, go to AI and say herbs for anxiety, tinctures for anxiety. There's also flower essences, which give us an opportunity to look deep into our own personalities, because all of us have suffered some type of trauma. And these
yes,
types of activities uh, are triggering those traumas too, not to mention generational trauma that are buried in our DNA. So if he puts this out and we self destruct from paying attention to him, hey, his job is easy, isn't it? So we have to learn to be the warriors that our forefathers were. John Lewis died with the scars on his head from this type of hatred, but he kept coming. Okay. And the idea is to not cower, to just keep coming. What I love most about the era that I grew up in the 60s, people fought a lot with education. Nikki
yeah.
Giovanni, Angela Davis, Sonia Sanchez, all of those icons used education as their weapon. And if you bolster your mind, first of all, he's not much of an opponent, as we're about to find out tomorrow. Kamala Harris's mind alone is a weapon, and that's what I'm
He was
excited.
already working
I,
out with
I'm all, I'm
second gentleman
all,
Doug.
I'm not worried. I'm giddy. I'm like, oh, have at him,
And she gave him a
because
thumbs up. I said, "Oh yeah, she's been already having mock debates." So, like she said, I'm gonna go back to the key word you said, warriors, because at one of her rallies, she said, "Joyful warriors." That's what she
right,
called us because we are joyful. She's
yeah,
put joy back into politics.
that's right. Not with a frown. You don't win that way. You win with a smile and with a joyful heart, because then your enemy doesn't understand what in the world is going on here. I'm trying to beat them down. I mean, I've had the experience in my own personal life. There are people who don't understand me. They don't understand how I survive. Sometimes I don't, you know, but I do know that the root healer was the joy that I kept alive in my soul.
Got to,
So
even through the darkest times, we have to keep that joy.
that's right. And that doesn't mean a fake, uh, like if you're sad, yes, admit you're sad. If you're despondent, yes, admit you're despondent, but don't live there. Don't let that be your place of residence. Give it
And
a little
autumn,
bit
you
of
create
time. and then go on and do something joyful.
Absolutely. And Auto Create, she says self care and turning off the hateful ideas is a good advice. Thanks, Carolyn, for your positivity, which is always on point.
Thank you, Judith. I love you.
And we have to keep up this happiness, this momentum. I've even went through some of the comments under her post, and people are fired up. They are happy. They're
Hmm.
saying not going back. And then someone said joyful warriors, because she came up with that was genius.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about the Obama era, because Obama gave us hope. He gave us joy. He made us have fun. Whereas the other side, they bring darkness, despair, and evil.
Hmm.
Her side brings joy and happiness.
You're right.
So I'm going to focus more so on her and
Right.
doing everything we can to make sure that she gets to that finish line. Because, like I said, right now they're neck and neck in the States, and that is alarming to a lot of people. So
Hmm.
we have to get her all the way to the very end. But I'm going to try to shift the focus
Yeah.
and focus on other things as well, too. Like fashion makes me happy, color makes me happy.
Yeah.
And it does something to me looking at different colors,
Hmm.
looking at different fashions, different
Yeah.
styles. That makes me feel happy. So I try to shift the focus again, like I said, music, and probably taking a walk outside instead of being pent up in the house, looking
That's
at the news, reporting it to people would help some too. So I
right.
mean, I've been really this election season. I've really kept my eyes glued to everything that's going on, and it's
Mhm.
like, how do you know this stuff? My mom and my grandmother then would ask me, how do you know this stuff? Because I'm like, I have my eyes glued 24/7, so I have to actually hear it, and it's playing back in my head over and over again. So now it's time for me to make sure that I take care of myself and stop looking at it so much. Whereas everybody out here is living their life, you're sitting up here worrying about the future when the outcome will be what it will be. You just have to fight for the outcome that you want. And the outcome that we want is Harris Walls 2024. So we have to do our part.
Hmm. Yes. We're all wounded healers. We are all wounded healers. And we came into this world by virtue of our culture, cultural history, as wounded healers. And we have to bring out the healing part and put the woundedness aside.
And another thing is, everybody has some sort of trauma
That's right.
and they can't let go of it. It's stuck to them. And the thing is, it's okay to let go. It's okay to let go. Don't hold on to it, because that anger and that hostility, that poison will be up inside you. Trust me, I had so much anger pent up inside of me. But find your outlet that works for you. And I know an outlet that works for me is writing. Writing or either going outside. It's therapeutic. It does something to me. I told the joke last week on the previous episode before with my guest, Multifaceted Monster. He said, I go outside and I do yoga every morning, and I sit with the earth. I said, now I wouldn't do that because I'm in South Carolina. I'm a girl in South Carolina. I wouldn't go outside barefoot because we have every kind of bed bug, big, huge bed bugs and stuff down here, crawling, snakes, all of that. I said, that's not me. I said, somebody can do it. Y'all can get grounded and center, but I won't do it. I said, yeah, I don't do snakes, bugs, lizards, any of that. But he doesn't mind doing it. And they were just laughing at it. But I told him, yes, if you have to do what you have to do to stay centered in this upcoming season, do what you got to do. He meditates and he sits and he has a conversation with God. And I know I do too. Every morning I get up, I do my morning devotion, and I also do an affirmation along with my prayer. And that is the supplement that gets me through the day. I don't even need coffee. That's the first thing that I do when I get up in the morning. I wake up and God has allowed me to open my eyes, is I have a conversation with him. And then I do my morning affirmations and my devotion. It's like a ritual for me every morning. At 3 a.m. I do it. I start my day. And I don't know why I start doing it around that time, but I do it because it's like a ritual and it keeps me focused. It keeps me centered. But it's just like, okay, still get to worrying whenever something bad happens or they say the headline comes up, breaking news, he said this or he said that. That's when I start to worry. So now I've learned, as Carolyn told me, and as others have been telling me, girl, stop looking at those polls. You'll drive yourself crazy. Stop focusing on it so much and focus on other things. Put joy in your life. And I made a business out of this platform with providing joy and happiness and laughter to people. So
Yes. And also recognizing the power of faith. If we're going to pray and don't have faith, then what's the sense in praying?
mm,
So to supplicate and put that faith that we've been exercising it all of our lives. That's how we got to this day. So sometimes we just have to recognize what we've put in place that works already and make it stronger.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've covered anxiety, we've covered mental health, and this as well too. Now, you also a bereavement coach. Now, in the beginning, you talked about during the pandemic, we lost so many people, and you having to be there to bury these people and be with their families. Now, this year has been a crazy year because we've lost so many icons, like Fat Man Scoop passed away, and so many others that are in the music and entertainment field. Rich Homie Quan is another one. It's just like we're losing too many people too soon. So it's been like an emotional roller coaster, I would say, all the way from 2020 to now 2024, where we're still losing people. And it's just like, my God, I spoke to them on the phone yesterday, and now to find out that they're no longer here. What are some gems that you would give to people who are coping with loss? Because I know I lost my sister back in August of 2018.
Darn.
And whenever her birthday rolls around June 29th, it's like it's bittersweet for me and my family. And I know it hit my mom hard not too long ago. And I had to be the stoic one because I have four brothers and I have two sisters. She was my other sister that passed.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always had to be like the stoic one, the one to keep the family together, to be strong. I didn't really cry at her funeral, but I could see the pain and heartache in my mom's eyes. That time when it came for the family, because you know, when you go under the tent at whatever cemetery it is, when it's time to go to the grave site to bury your sibling or whomever, I looked right over because I sat in the back, but it was in another seat. I wasn't actually directly by my mom, but behind her. But I looked over and I just saw sadness. I saw despair. And I saw like I wish I could have did more for my baby. I wish I could have listened to my baby. And I know that's for any parent, anybody who has lost a loved one. What are some gems that you would give to people to cope with loss? Because everybody grieves differently.
Yes, they do. Some of the things that I have recommended and people have followed up on and said that it worked for them is creating a memorial for the person, memorial day or a memorial activity, be it looking through photographs together and reminiscing. Another thing is balloon releasing,
We did that for her.
yes, or even just going. Well, I'm an only child, so I sort of do things by myself, but as a group, as a family, you can go and do an activity together, even if it's just go to the park together. Or, you know, if you want to visit the grave site together, that's one way. But if you don't want to visit the grave site, do something that she liked to do or he liked to do, or just talk about it, or talk to them, you know, because I'm a firm believer in we recycle.
Oh yeah.
So uh, express your thoughts out loud and bring some flowers into the house on that special day or regularly. Choose a crystal. Rose quartz is very good for brokenheartedness. Maybe get a rose quartz and wear it close to your heart. That's how I first found out about rose quartz. When I first found out about crystals and their power, um, rose quartz was the first stone that I was introduced to. And I experimented and I would rub my heart with it. And it really, the energy from the rose quartz. I also have suggested one of my neighbors' son died suddenly overnight in his sleep. He was 36 or something like that. And we used a pendulum And uh, she, once she got familiar with the pendulum that I had, he went and bought a pendulum, and she talked to him that way. I explained her ask yes or no questions, and she would talk to them. She'd come back and tell me, what he said. Because when the pendulum swings a certain way, it means yes or it means no. And then we would discuss that. So giving a person every opportunity to connect with the energy that they love is part of my ministry. Also recommending, once again, the proper herbs and tinctures to support them on their journey.
Absolutely. And Auto Create 740 says talking about your loved one with each other keeps them alive in the present moment. Absolutely. And what's so crazy is we talk about what happens after the person passes along and them leaving an impact or a legacy. It could be a scent. It can be the most inanimate things, the way they would laugh, and it rings in your mind. You think about all of these things that the person used to do. For me, because my sister was very crafty, she loved to create earrings and bracelets. She had a lot of beads. And my
Mhm.
mom has to dig in her storage and look for them because she said I had to let go of some of the memories too. Even a piece of clothing could be traumatic for my mom, and she'll just start break down crying. She's like, I have to get rid of these clothes, and
Yeah,
that's for anybody who wants to release it because the pain is just too much for them.
it's,
But she made me for my birthday one year a Tweety Bird birthday card, and she misspelled my name. I remember I laugh at it. I just look at it and I laugh at it, and I'm just like, yeah, she was very crafty.
mm,
And I was digging one day and I was cleaning out my shelf in my room and I found it. I said, yeah, this is sentimental to me. It was one day my birthday, and then she baked me a chocolate cake as well too. When I could eat chocolate, I can't now because I
mm,
have acid
uh,
reflux, and I envy people who can. But it's those little things that are sentimental. I even have her makeup case. Like she had like a case when you open it out, it folds out like stairs in a
mm,
way. You know how the
yeah,
makeup case, you open them up and it folds out, and you can put one set of a makeup on this route and one set. I have that as well too. So the little things, her brushes, which are a little worn, I have them and I use them.
mm,
So it's those little things that are sentimental to me that she had that remind me of
mm,
her. Even a perfume, like Autocrate said in the comments, a
mm,
scent.
mm,
When you go in the store, you can look at a candy bar, and I know Payday was one of her favorite
mhm.
candy bars. So I, it's those little things, that you try to bring up the happier times of
Right,
her.
right. My mother loved to cook, and I love to cook. When she died, I inherited her spices. So I cooked with her spices for a very long time. And I have some of her plates and bowls. Whenever I serve a family member, I let them know from your great grandmother, or this is from your great grandmother or your grandmother. And I let them know the history behind it.
It's
So yeah,
important to
all
remember their
of it
legacy.
means something. We know internally things to do, but sometimes grief overtakes us. So pay attention to your dreams too. And mugwort is a dream herb. So, you know, you could actually drink your mugwort for sleep, but also get a wonderful opportunity with intention to go to sleep and communicate with that loved one. And then journal it. You mentioned journaling, journal it when you wake up.
And to anybody, I had this conversation with one of my guests, and he was talking about the loss of his brother and a loved one. And he says, I like to take walks when I go hiking on the mountains. And I feel like their spirit is just watching down on me. So the person is not long gone. They're there with you in your room. And then things can happen to you in your life and your career. And you could get a raise or a promotion. It's just like, oh my God, why is this happening? And then it could fall right on the time that the person passed away or after. All of these things, they start, it's like deja vu. You like pinch yourself, like, is this really happening to me? Are they sending me a sign? Yes, that's them watching over you and sending you all of these good things in your life. because they care and they know you care and you haven't forgot about them.
That's right. Ancestral love.
It's
Mm-hmm.
it's happened to people that are close to me and they're just like, did this really just happen? Did I really just? I said, that's there watching over you. We each and every one of us, we have a guardian angel, and we are divinely protected by our guardian
We
angels. So a lot of
are
people, they don't want to tap too deep into that.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't want to tap too deep into that. So what would you say before we conclude? Because this conversation is so good.
Thank
Carolyn, what would you say to people who, are just like, they're kind of scared and skeptical and reluctant, like, okay, why is this happening to me? Good things that are happening to them, and they don't know why, but they know the feeling that someone is watching them. They're just not sure who or where the answer is coming from.
mm-hmm. My answer to that is you don't have to know the answer to everything.
Mm,
Accept the gift and rejoice. Rejoice that someone has connected. You could wake up as I did 3 weeks ago with an email in your box. Someone has found you. Who
mm,
is meant to find you will find you. Cancel worry because that's a block. Just invite because what happens, what you put your attention on grows. So my whole thing is grow and harvest your blessings. Do the work.
absolutely.
Do the work. Can't just sit there. What faith without works is what? Dead.
Dead.
Do the work and be ready because it's coming.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And AutoCreate says she loves that idea. This conversation, I hope, is refreshing to a lot of people, and I hope you guys are all taking notes and being critical of what we can do to protect our anxiety, our peace, no matter what may come, election season, whatever it may be. You could be going through wanting that position in your job so bad, or wanting to be the head of your company, whatever it may be, it will be, whatever the outcome. And you just have to make sure that you reassure yourself. Affirmations are a must. So it's important that we indulge in affirmations. And whatever you put out there in the universe will come back to you full circle. And I'm a firm believer of that because I do vision boards as well. And
Mhm.
almost everything that I've put on my vision board has now come to fruition. And it's just like, wow, God has have it all laid out for me.
Mhm.
And I'm continuing to do the work, continuing to do the work. And the more I continue to do the work, the more great things continue to happen to me. And that's because I stay focused. And AutoCreate 740 says, thank you both for this wonderful opportunity to listen. Great show. Thank you so much, AutoCreate.
Thank you.
And before we conclude, Carolyn,
Yes.
what are some other gems that you would like to give to the people before we conclude? Because we touched on a number of things from anxiety to worry to mental health to loss and recovering from loss or bereavement. What are some other gems that you would like to leave to the
What
dogs?
I would like to share is balance your caring. Come out of the realm of over caring because it's you first. That's not selfish. That is self-preserving. So uh, find a balance. Be discerning about who you help. Uh, don't take a bunch of guff constantly. You know, and just treat yourself. Treat yourself well. You know, you matter.
And
Yeah.
as Beyonce said when she was launching her hair care line, she's sacred. She spelled it different. We are all sacred.
Yes,
You are divine.
that's right.
You are a divine light. And it's important that we make sure that we take care of ourselves. And that was in one of my posts from this morning. During this cycle, whatever the outcome may be, make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Because you will, again, like someone keeps telling me, you're going to run yourself crazy. Don't worry so much because I am a constant worrier. That's one thing people don't know about me. They think, oh, she's beautiful. She's got to put it. No, I worry. Behind the scenes, I worry. And my mom knows, can attest to that. If she's here with me right now, if I bring her on the show, she would say she worries all the time, and I
Mm.
do. And my mom's like, "Stop worrying. You gonna make me worry." So it's just like that domino effect. You got to stop worrying because you knock one domino down, then the next one to knock down, and everybody starts to worry. My grandmother, she's
Downhill.
80 years old. Yes, it'll keep going.
Yeah.
My grandmother is 80 years old.
Oh,
And I will call her, and she just like, you stop worrying, stop crying, don't worry about it, you know. And as you stated with Michelle Obama, do something. Now's the time. So I want to close out today's final show with today's show with today's final thought, which comes from our Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." He also said, "Injustice is anywhere. It is a threat to justice everywhere." So that means we are in the fight of our lives, and it doesn't begin here with, as Carolyn and everyone is stating, worrying. Do something about it. Be the change that you want to see. And do not back down. Do not be afraid. You know, they can try everything. Our founding fathers fought for everything that we have in this country, which is what we have right now, what we're fighting for, freedom. So it doesn't stop here. This is just the beginning. And we have, I think, 57 more days left until the election. Tomorrow is the debate. Time is winding down. As I stated in the beginning of the show, make sure you guys are registered and ready to go November 5th. Now, some polls have already started early absentee mail-in voting. Check your county, check where you're at, and make sure you're set to go if you can participate. I know me and my mom participated in early voting by mail in the 2020 election. So make sure you guys are registered and set to go as well, to go to vote.org and also go to kamalaharris.com. She released her policies. So make sure you guys please go and check it out. Everything is all laid out, bullet point to bullet point. She has it. So let's go. Let's win this. And again, like Carolyn said, because I got Carolyn's number, and I texted her now. Should have been texting her about these things, but other people behind the scenes are just like, "Girl, stop worrying. You got this. You're gonna get it. She's gonna get it." So great things are coming for all of us, and it doesn't stop here. So don't let fear discourage you from whatever it is. And speak out. If you have a voice, don't let anybody repress your voice. If you want change to happen, speak out. So now I feel like a weight has been lifted. I wish I could revive all of those posts that I erased before I came on with Carolyn, but I you guys know where I stand. And it's Harris Walls 2024. Make sure you guys please go vote. Get registered if you are not. Check your registration to make sure you are good. Check your family members and make sure that they're good. Again, I mentioned my grandmother because she's near to me. She's 80 years old and she will be voting in this election. She didn't participate in the first one because she had some health issues going on. But in this one, she's definitely participating. She's all in. So,
now, Miss Stevie, in honoring grandmothers, LL Cool J's grandma said, "Mama said, knock you out." That's what we
that's
do
right.
it for.
And we got to do it at the polls,
That's
y'all.
right.
November 5th. Tim Walz said it. He said, if we want to beat him, we got to do it at that ballot box. And I'm encouraging each and every one of you, I've been doing it for the past few days on the show, to get out and go vote. Go vote. Exercise your right. All right, Fashion Dolls and Carolyn, with that being said, thank you so much for making me feel better. Thank you so much for bringing some joy to people because they're saying Jack's Attack says great info. Thanks.
Thank you. Love you.
I love you all Fashion Dolls, and I love you too, Carolyn, and thank you so much. And where before we go, where can everyone follow you and check you out?
Sure. My website is www.behealed.info.
There
Thank
you
you.
go, Fashion Dolls. And joining me Wednesday, we have Andre Bellows. It is New York Fashion Week, so make sure you guys stay tuned. I love you all, and we will see you guys hopefully Wednesday. Take care, everyone.